Congressman Pete King, who sits on the House Intelligence Committee. We've spoken with him throughout this process, but now Congressman King, the memo is out. We have all read it. Ed has just detailed some of the strongest points that it makes. What do you make of what the former FBI Director James Comey says about how this memo and the release of it has wrecked so many of the individuals who were involved with it and the agencies?
I was one of those people who over the years supported James Comey. I am really disappointed. That was just a political response. He does not dispute one fact in this 4-page report. And this is a devastating indictment of his tenure at the FBI. I would have thought he would have pointed to at least one fact that he disagreed with, or one thing that was wrong. Instead, he just come out with something that sounds like a talking point for the Democratic National Committee. So that, to me, shows that he's concerned about something. That was a very, very, not just disingenuous, really a disappointing response from the former director of the FBI. If that's the best he can do, that shows something's bothering him. Well,
the underlying sort of overall thrust of this is that several individuals, including James Comey and Andrew McCabe and Sally Yates and others, all signed off on the application for these FISA warrants. Every 90 days it has to be renewed. And as I understand it through the read of this, every 90 days you have to have a very specific reason to renew it. And what they used, according to this, what we have here so far, according to this, what they used was the findings of Christopher Steele. And yet they never mentioned to the FISA court, even though they knew, according to this document, if it's accurate, that Steele was funded by the Clinton campaign. They never mentioned that to the FISA judges?
Yeah, that is shameful. The American public should realize this isn't like giving somebody a traffic ticket. Going into a FISA court, a secret court, to get a warrant to wiretap an American citizen. This is the highest responsibility. And you have an obligation not just to tell what you have that's bad on somebody, but also any exculpatory evidence. You have to put in a full picture. Now, they submitted a dossier, which Comey himself has admitted was inaccurate, unverified, and salacious. And to the extent we've been able to look at it at all, for instance, they said that dossier says Michael Cohen, a key thing, met with a Russian agent in Prague, Czechoslovakia, Czech Republic. Michael Cohen has never been in the Czech Republic, never been in Prague. He can show where he was on that date. And yet it's information like that was the basis of this dossier. So for them to use that dossier to spy on an American citizen is really outrageous. And it shows a mindset that was there, whether it was groupthink, whether it was echo chamber logic or whatever. The fact is they did not do the right thing.
Well, let me ask you this, because Senator Goodlatte of the House Judiciary Committee, he used the word conspiracy when he talked about his reaction to reading this. That's a crime. What is the next step here? Do you believe that there are going to be any criminal prosecutions based on your findings here?
Well, I think now that these findings are out, there should be public hearings. I would think the Judiciary Committee should certainly hold hearings. I think that Rod Rosenstein should be required to explain why he extended the FISA application, why he signed off on that. I think it's important that all this come out now as to why this was done. What do they know? When do they know it? That's a key issue here. And how could they have gone into a secret court, a FISA court, knowing how weak and really how potentially false this evidence was?
Let me ask you something about the FISA court, though, because they apparently did not push for more information on Christopher Steele. They didn't say, well, who's paying this person? Where is he getting his information? Does that strike you as odd at all, that they seem to be so willing to sign off on it without getting more information on where he was coming from or who was paying him?
Yeah, not having seen everything, I can't comment on that other than to say that it is unusual, and it also could show a level of trust between the Justice Department and the court. The fact that all these high-ranking people signed off on this dossier, they was assumed from that the FBI and the Justice Department had looked into it and had reason to believe, very good reason to believe that it was accurate and that it had something to say. And also, again, remember, this is, as far as I know, the first ever federal investigation of a presidential campaign being carried on while the campaign was ongoing.
Right.
And to do that based on this flimsy evidence is really, this is a dangerous precedent that was set here, very dangerous.
One last question for you. Some Democrats on the Intel
Sure.
Committee are pushing back, which is to be expected. They did not want this to be out. They've got their own memo, and that's going through its own process. So we're going to, of course, report on that when that comes out. But they claim that the assertion made about Andrew McCabe in here, that essentially he testified in December of 2017 that no surveillance warrant would have been sought by FISA at the FISA court without the Steele dossier information. That assertion says that this was essential, that this was the spine of their application. They're saying that that is not what he testified.